We were asked if we would be willing to host the event for Bruce to kick his campaign off. And I spoke with my brother Brian, and he said, absolutely. And we're very pleased to see everyone here. I think that Bruce demonstrates a great deal of integrity, along with leadership skills that the state of Vermont is in desperate need for. I'm quite pleased to be able to participate in his campaign, and we'll wish him well and hope that he's our next governor.
Thank you, Bill. John.
It's only half an hour. I'll cut it down here a little bit. I'm John Powell, and I've known Bruce since kindergarten. It's over 60 years. The secret about Bruce, he's honest, he's smart, and he's a hard worker with a great sense of humor. He's a bit of an anomaly. He's a great leader who was first a good listener. I owned a lumber company and a construction company in Essex Junction for 20 years. I was responsible for 35 to 60 families. That was depending on the season. Bruce was responsible for over 2,000 people. He was a very good manager, and he produced successful outcomes. However, I'm sure he will tell you the work he's most proud of is raising two terrific daughters. Today I have a plea that is more aimed at voters who are probably not at this gathering. Please resist the easy temptation to dismiss Bruce as his opponents would suggest with the phrase, a successful Wall Street executive. As we take our responsibility of finding the best leader for Vermont's future, I ask you to please spend the time to listen to Bruce's directions, solutions, and challenges ahead. Bruce has already spent several years traveling our state and listening to the issues that Vermonters feel they need to see changed. Bruce's solutions for improving Vermont's directions are not limited by the concepts of a single political party. I know that Bruce's leadership as governor of Vermont will reach across our state to include the best solutions for a healthier Vermont.
Thank you, Jim.
Thank you, Bruce.
Hello.
I should say that Maggie is one of my two daughters. And that would probably be a helpful introduction.
Thank you for that. Nice introduction. I'm honored and proud to be here supporting my father in his bid for governor of Vermont. At a young age, my sister and I lost our mother to breast cancer, leaving my father to raise us alone and taking on the role of both a mother and a father. I can only imagine how difficult and daunting it must have been for him as a single parent to raise two young girls while dealing with his own grief, but he embraced it without question. Our mother had a strong passion for music and always encouraged my sister and I to explore it. While my sister took on the violin, I opted for the clarinet. Although my interest in playing music was short-lived, my sister pursued a career in music, and as many as you might know, it's not an easy field. My father never wavered and was 100% supportive, taking her to lessons, sitting front row at concerts, and accompanying her to every audition wherever in the world it was. While my sister explored music, my dad introduced me to the world of art. We began taking weekly trips to museums, discussing pieces we liked and didn't like. And I remember one distinct experience we had at a museum where we were completely enamored with this one contemporary piece that was hanging from the ceiling that depicted a city. It became an obsession of ours that we decided that we would try to make our own piece just like it. The idea was also not a success, and we both realized that we were not artists at all. What I did realize was my appreciation for art, and it's only because of my father's influence that I pursued a career in the art world and now work at the Shelburne Museum in Shelburne, Vermont. My father has accomplished so much, and I could not be more proud to be his daughter. What makes me most proud is that even with all his secular responsibilities and accomplishments, he never lost sight of my sister and I, and we were always number one to him. Growing up without a mother was not easy, but he never made us feel inadequate. He always supported us in any way we needed it, and when we needed it. He put his foot down. I may not have appreciated it then, but I do now, and I'm happy to share with you, my father, the next governor of Vermont, Bruce Lisman.
Well, good morning, everybody. Thank you all for coming. And Bill Rowell and his family are very kind to us to allow us to be here and meet all of you. And Bill and family, it's fantastic. Thank you. You ought to know. This is not your ordinary farm. As you drove in, you saw a pristine farm. Something literally out of a storybook, and you can see how clean it is, how wide the boulevard, how much light there is, how happy the calves are. I see a smile or two. That one right there is in fact smiling. I'll talk to you later about your vote. I need to make my first campaign promise. When we're back here in July, I'm pretty sure it's going to be warmer. But thank you all for coming. Maggie is my younger daughter. Very proud of you for that talk, and I so very much appreciate your heartfelt thoughts. I'd like to introduce you to my other daughter, Kate. Kate is here. Thank you. So, Kate flew in from Los Angeles. She and her husband play the violin and teach little kids how to play violin. Thank you, John Powell. John and I have been friends since kindergarten. It's an enduring friendship. I value my friends. Longer the better. And as it happens, sometimes the older the better. I'd like to introduce you to my wife, Kyla, who is my best friend and love of my life. I'll give you a hug. My best advisor, most vocal critic. I would especially like to thank all of you, all of my friends and supporters who would come here today. Blue sky, cold day, I'm very appreciative. It's my opportunity to share with you my vision for our direction of our state. For those who are 25 years old and looking for their first job, or 45 who are working but can't afford to stay here, for the 65-year-old who can't afford her own house, and for all aged people who are thinking of leaving the state, I would say stick with me. You're going to like my ideas, and you might not leave. On this beautiful day, on this wonderful farm, we are all reminded of what makes Vermont so completely special. We love the state and what it stands for. We treasure the environment. We value our working landscape and families like Bill and his family who are working hard to preserve the Vermont we love and also make sure the business they love continues to the next generation. We know what makes Vermont special. We celebrate her unique qualities, and we expect our elected officials to do the same. But over the last several years, we are seeing a much different and a much darker Vermont. Our government has forgotten who it serves. We have witnessed the erosion in many of those Vermont qualities we hold so dear. School costs have risen uncontrollably, drive property taxes to unbearably high levels, and affordability a distant dream. Neighbors and town leaders are powerless to stop large-scale wind and solar installations in their towns. The state budget grows at 5% a year, while the economy grows at 3% of the year, and the consequences of that are very bad. More taxes, more fees, more surcharges, and greater unpredictability. Today, Vermonters are paying more for health care but getting less. Higher costs, less choice, enormous uncertainty, and $150 million of somebody's money has been spent on something that doesn't work. Families and communities are torn apart by heroin addiction, and as is so often the case, it's the innocent who pay the price. And now we know the EPA, and not our state government, is in charge of our lakes and streams. Now, we all know that Vermont's economy is fragile, and many of our commercial centers are in decline, and a significant number of our counties are losing population. And we know that the very heartbeat of our economy, Chittenden County, is only growing at a rate of 70% of the national averages. And that's the best we have. People know that the Shumlin administration and those who aided them and those who have stood by in silence are the ones who are at fault for this mess. The people know everything. We know if we continue to elect the usual people, we'll be lucky to get the usual results. Well, I'm here to tell you I'm not the usual guy. I won't say or do the usual things, and I believe I can fix what's wrong. I'm running to become our next governor because our government needs a change of culture. Vermonters deserve a government that will serve them and not the politicians. I believe Vermont needs a new direction. I have a vision for Vermont that favors personal freedom and supports the rewards of shared prosperity. I understand the economic growth matters. Only a vibrant, diversified, dynamic economy will restore the Vermont that is not in Chittenden County and protect what is in Chittenden County. A strong economy will rescue families from poverty, protect our children, build our roads, give dignity to those who believe all is lost. I know we can reform the property tax system that we all despise. I know we can make our state affordable. I know we can protect our environment, clean our waterways, and I know we can fix the healthcare mess. That might be easy by comparison to fixing our economy, because there is not a single solution that would rebuild our economy. It's so many things. It would take an unwavering commitment to restore the elements of growth, but we can do it. We must do it, and frankly, we need to do it starting right now. That's why, as governor, I will take personal responsibility. I'll roll up my sleeves, help create the conditions for the economy that Vermonters want and deserve. We're going to know every major employer in the state, and we will never again be surprised by a business that leaves our state. 96% of our employers are small businesses. We're going to make it easier for them to thrive here, and I might add, the entire dairy industry is pretty much small business. And we will search for those small companies that are well positioned to grow, but before they leave our state. Some people talk about education in kind of an abstract way. Sometimes we only talk about property taxes, the system which is busted. Our schools are among the best funded in the world, but our results, frankly, are just okay. Now get this. We already know how to make our schools not simply okay, but actually great. No new studies are required, because every study, every example says the same thing no matter where you look around the world. Great teachers and great principals correlate with great results. So let's make sure we get them here. Frankly, it won't be easy, but if the people want it, we can do it. That's why we suggest repealing Act 46. It's the best thing we can do for education today. Mandatory consolidation of our schools is a really bad idea. It's a terrible law that will raise your property taxes, take away local control, and eliminate school choice. It's a package of misery that's setting on Vermonters. Speaking of terrible, let me talk to you about our budget and how we manage it. Our state budget has become the enemy of the people and the economy. Crazy spending gets us a crazy search for taxes and fees. No one is safe. And no one in state government can actually prove to you that increased spending has actually benefited Vermonters. This is primitive, I kid you not, this is primitive management at its worst. Who the heck would manage a budget this way? The Shumlin administration would. We need a whole new approach. I mean it, a whole new approach to budgeting. We need a strategic budget, we need a capital budget, but today we need to get our state budget in a stable position within a safe range. Uncertainty around taxes is literally killing our economy. So here's a solution. Let's grow the budget by no more than 2% a year for the next 3 years. Let's put gifted leaders in government who will find efficiencies, and let's honestly measure outcomes. And then let's tell the people how we're doing. You're here, and I hope at the end of all of this, some of you might ask Bill for a brief tour of the farm. It's special. You might know this, but the Rowell family farm delivers 2 million kilowatts a year to the grid by converting manure to electricity. It's a heck of a factory out there. It's good for them, it's good for us, and it's good for the environment. We all believe that. But the invasion of large wind and solar projects into our communities has raised important issues that literally have changed how we think about renewables. We need to balance the value of renewables with the right of local people to control the future of their own towns. We need to tell Vermonters what the cost will be to meet well-intended long-term energy goals. And we need to be honest about what impact large projects will have both on climate change but on also our own environment. And that's why we need a two-year moratorium on all new industrial renewable projects now. Thank you. We need a 2-year moratorium on new industrial renewable projects now before it's too late. There's a lot I could tell you about healthcare. We're going to be rolling out ideas that are, I think, give new perspective and a different approach to healthcare. But I'll tell you that the one thing we need to do right now is to stop the mandate. Repeal the state's extreme healthcare mandate, forcing everybody into the exchange. It creates nothing but uncertainty and misery, hasn't done anything to lower your costs. It ought to go. Finally, it would be no surprise to some of you that I feel compelled to talk about ethics. And it should come as no surprise that I believe it's time for the enactment of a sensible ethics package with an independent ethics commission, so that those in government would say to the people that they care more about them than they do about themselves. This farm is really special. I love coming here. Of course, I love the Rowell family. I love the nature of it, what it provides our economy, but the happiness that comes from a place that is doing well and wants to do well. Sometimes I think our state government doesn't intend us to do well. I'd like to say that our state does not need political ideologies or radical public experiments to meet our challenges. We do need common sense solutions that respect the wallets, decision-making of hardworking Vermonters in literally every corner of our state. I will continue to travel the state listening and speaking with more Vermonters because good ideas, for me anyway, always come from listening to you. Vermonters are ready for change. Vermont needs a new direction. I'm ready to lead Vermont in that new direction. Thank you very much.
Paid for by Lisman for Vermont, Beverly Biello, Treasurer.